Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you are a subscriber, and if you're new, like I said, welcome. Today we are starting a new series, the tips and tricks video series. I'm just gonna show you give you some ideas and ways that you can approach your your customizing if you're just starting out. Um, you know, um, we invest money in the action figures that we get, and so it would be a drag if we were to damage the figure if we're not careful, or not get the results that we want. So you know as customizers, we do it trial by fire sometimes if we don't have anything to do some testing on, which is what I will be going into in this video. Doing some test, how you can do some testing and experimenting before going on into your project. um, and one of the things that I would like to bring up is the use of cheap toys. I got this um, at the dollar store. This is like a Gundam thingy. I don't follow Gundam, so I don't know what it is, but I do recognize it. I think it's um, a Zaku. But yeah, the I got this, and as you can see, it's been pretty. I've gotten a lot of use out of it. Recently, I was doing some testing on it, trying out the some primers, some paints. Um, so it's good to have disposable cheap toys that you don't mind doing all of your testing on, to see how paints will react, how test your paints after you thin them and all of that. So here I was testing recently the brush on primer that I have. It's a Bullseye 123 primer that I bought at a hardware store at a Home Depot, and I was trying to see how much I can thin it before it loses its integrity and doesn't stick too well to the plastic. You can see here on the shoulder, I scratched it off a little bit with my fingernail, just to test it out. And usually you don't want your primer to easily come off, right? So probably gonna have to take that off and start over and get the ratios right. So you want to do this before you actually go on to the actual figure, right? Um, Here, everything that you see here in blue, I was testing out some paints that I had, some very old paints that weren't opened. This Art Studio acrylic paint. It was sealed. I've got a whole bunch of colors that I've never used, so I was trying to test out to see if the paint was still good. Um, this is how they come, sealed. So all of these paints, I've got like 20 something colors that came in a box set that my mom gave me a long time ago, but I never used. So I want to see how I can use these paints to go along with the rest of the paints that I have. Um, has a pretty good, strong pigmentation. Um, I I did my reducing of the paints. I do my testing and reducing here on these cups that you can buy at Smart and Final. Um, you can see here how the paint stuck to the plastic. What I used, I was experimenting to see, because I had seen videos where people use Windex to thin their paints. So I wanted to see for myself um, how that how that went. What you want from the when you're reducing your and thinning your paints, as you're mixing it, you want to test to see how it grips to the plastic. So when you're thinning and you have some paint on your tip, um, you know, tip your cup or whatever you're using to mix your paints, tip it at an angle so that all of the paint stays at the bottom, and then just grab something on your tip and just dab it at the bottom and see how fast it trickles down. You don't want it to stay put in one place. You want it to slowly run down. If it runs down too fast, it's too thin. If it doesn't run down at all, it's too thick. So you need to find that perfect ratio. You know how people say thin to the consistency of milk. I found that that's misleading. You probably want it thin down to probably so that it looks almost like ink, because you don't want it to be too transparent. And you can see here through the at the bottom some how transparent it comes out in certain when it hits certain areas, right? So anyway, just a few tip. And right. Oh, speaking of tip and mixer, you can find certain mixers, aluminum mixers online. Amazon and whatnot. Um, they are kind of expensive as they come with like aluminum cups, so you can do your mixing and your pouring. The cheap way, just get these at Smart and Final. Make sure to get the caps, or you can also use cling wrap. Just make sure it's real tight. But if you can get the caps for them, do get the caps. It'll help preserve the paint longer in your mixes as you're working on your projects. This is the paint that I used for one of the Optimus Primes, the Studio Series 38, that I finished 2 weeks ago, and the paint is still like, it's still running, it's still fresh. So make sure that you get the caps. So I was testing. I'm sorry. I was saying for a paint mixer. This is a from an coat hanger, a wire coat hanger. It's sturdy, and all you gotta do is just grab a hammer and flatten the edge, flatten one end. That's it. You got yourself a fancy paint mix stirrer. You can also use, cocktail mixer. It's got a big handle at the end. Um, Chopsticks. I use this for the primers because it's thicker than using like popsicle sticks. The popsicle sticks might break, so I'd rather use this. So yeah, you don't need to spend a lot of money on supplies, because you'd rather invest money in something else, you know, that'll help you with your projects, better paints or brushes. And speaking of brushes, you can also invest. You don't need to buy fancy, expensive, brand name brushes. You can go maybe to go to the cosmetics section at a Walmart or Target or a pharmacy, and get yourself some makeup brushes or nail brushes, because some of those are pretty good actually. They're half the price of expensive, and these are high quality, but they are not as expensive as paintbrushes, like Winsor Newton and all of that. So I use these round ones for dry brush. You can use these for applying dry brush or mixing. I'm sorry, not applying. When you're working on the figure, the face, and the skin tones and all of that. I've been using this brush mainly to apply the my base coats, my base color coats. This is also, yeah, it's like a no-name nail brush, but these are made from actual hair, and they are, well, right now, oh, another tip. This is like you know uh, beard wax, or so you don't need to invest in anything too expensive, like professional, brush things. Hair is hair, so use this to apply when you're finished cleaning up your brushes. Use that to maintain the shape of the tip of the brush. So this is so I was gonna say, these are, um, usually nails are applied with what do I call them? Not lacquer, but like the enamel paints. Nail polish. When the manicurist is applying, paint, they use enamel paints mostly. So these are made for thicker enamel paints. So using acrylic paint shouldn't be an issue for these. So I have that one and this one. It's a sable hairbrush. So that's another tip. I've got this doohickey that I made just to keep my brushes when I'm not using them. After I apply something, I just put the brush there while I'm not using it. And also I made this part of it so that I can keep the paint tipped over, so it's not flat and the paint is not spread over. So you want to keep your paint located in one area of your cup. Or also, I'll get to this later. Whoops, and there's me knocking the camera. What's an episode without it? You can also use this cupcake pan, so you can keep your assorted paints in order. I have them to where I have a piece of foam shape. I cut it in half and shape at an edge, so that when I put the paint on it, I keep it tipped over, right? So there's that. So yeah, you can find a lot of stuff at like a dollar store, or you can probably get some organizers, got these little things to keep organized, all of the separate, heads that I have. So yeah, you can get some microfiber towels. You can find anything that you need there. As far as keeping and maintaining your space. So yeah, thank you for this. That's it for this first episode. I'll go in future episodes and show you what this is for. I'll show you how to thin the paints and all of that. And yeah, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.